Welcome to the Chronic Pleasure Podcast, where we talk about all things pleasurable and some of the things that might get in the way and how to deal with them. My name's Karen Laurie, and I'm so happy you're here. I wanted to talk about the pleasure of silence. I was in the Redwoods once, well, a few times, but one of the times I was with one of my friends, and the silence was so loud in the most beautiful way. It was so profound that I had to stop. We were driving through. I had to stop driving and I said, "We've got to stay here." And she said, "Okay." So we found a place to stay and I went walking through the redwoods. There's no roads. I mean, once you get in there, we were on a road and then you go in to the place where there's no roads. And I went hiking and she was with me. We went hiking and we weren't talking and we were just in this place of profound silence. And I realized that noise pollution is one of the things that people don't talk about, but it can be really taxing on the nervous system. And being in a state of silence, whether it's a silent environment or a silent mind, is really healthy. So I ended up tuning to the redwoods wherever I was. And it's too long to explain how to tune to it in this podcast, but I tuned to that silence. And so I created this capacity to have silence, even in the midst of a loud commotion. That silence pervades my mind. I do not think in the way normal people think anymore. I used to. I used to have an obsessive, incessant mind. And now my mind is tranquil. I receive. It's different than thinking. And I want to talk about silence in your home, where you turn off the TV if you have one, or you turn off the radio, or you turn off the music, where you start to appreciate the silence. And one of my dearest friends that I feel the most connected with was someone that a couple of my friends, we did things that were silent together. Like one friend, all we did was we'd talk a little bit and then we would do art together. We'd each do our own project, but sitting at the same table, let's say. We didn't talk, but there was some connection that was happening because we were in this silent creativity and it was happening together. And the bond that we have is so beautiful. And even if she and I don't talk for years, we have such a depth of connection. And I've done that with other people as well. Another person that I've done this silence with, we basically hardly talked. We just would look at each other and just have massive amounts of silence. The communion, the connection that can happen with silence is so much more profound than talking. Most people, when they talk, they're talking about something that they've been regurgitating. They saw it on the news 17 times and now they have to report it, or it's been obsessing in their mind or something. They're talking about stuff that they're not conscious of. If you cultivate a deep level of silence and tranquility in your life, in your mind, everything changes. Silence is the basis of receiving. One of the things that a lot of people do that gets in their way is they'll do something that is meant to be a sacred experience, like, let's say, eating, and they will have the television or the computer on or the music or whatever. And they're not actually tasting their food. They're not chewing their food till it's liquefied. So they get no sense of the value of the food. They can't even, they eat it out of unconsciousness. Silence creates a depth of consciousness if you do it in the healthy way. There's other ways of being silent that aren't healthy. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the kind of silence that comes from being peaceful or from tuning to a very profoundly quiet forest. It's a silence that comes with eye contact or with just allowing someone else to talk without having to respond, to just listen. Since I have learned to have that silence with me wherever I am, sounds don't bother me. Since I have learned to have a mind that is tranquil, that is receptive, that is quiet, I am guided in a way that is profound. So there is such a benefit to that silence in the sense also our inner guidance is always communicating with us 24/7. Most people can't hear it because the noise in their head or the noise in their environment or both is so distracting. But to me, there is no other sound or no other thing I would rather listen to than the wisdom that is within all of us. That deep wisdom. A lot of people call it that, still quiet voice. You want to listen to that still quiet voice. But when you get a quiet mind, when you know how to bring tranquility into any situation, that voice is not quiet. Your guidance system becomes clear, easy to hear. It's like you're being danced by the universe. So I cultivate silence in lots of different ways. One is I don't even have a TV. I don't usually listen to music. Sometimes when I'm driving, I do. But when I work out, sometimes I do too. But I don't listen to music a lot. Every once in a while, but not a lot. Um, and I love music. It's not like there's anything wrong with it, but there's something so musical that is brand new and infinite that is flowing into us all the time. And that's what I love tuning to. So I have found that the more tranquil I can be, the more I hear that guidance, the more connected people feel with me. I'm still fun. I'm still playful. I still laugh. I still have a good time. But it's a different way of operating in the world. I used to have a mind that was obsessive. I used to have a mind that complained in my head, that would focus on something and just go, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." And now I've had such a profound shift, and this is what I teach my clients, that it's just unbelievable the tranquility that I can embody with no effort. I like to meditate, but I don't have to meditate to have it. And the thankfulness that I feel for this level of quiet is it's profound. It's one of the biggest gifts in my life. So I would love it if you would just experiment and now I'm doing a podcast and I'm going to tell you to turn off your computer, right? But at a certain point, turn off the computer, turn off the TV, turn off the stereo, turn off the whatever else, the phone. I do a lot of times silent retreats where I'll just be on retreat with no media, no social media, no phones, nothing. And I just keep everything on do not disturb, and I'm in that quiet. And the benefit of doing that is just so, oh, I love it so much. It's so good. So I do that often, and it might be for 3 days, and it might be for 1 day, and it might be for 6 hours, but I do it often, and sometimes I've done it for 10 days. That ability allows me to be at home or anywhere in the world at home. My home becomes everywhere. My home becomes with you or with you or with you or with you because I'm so receptive and I'm so relaxed that it's easy to belong. And I'm so glad you're here. You are such a gift to the world and you belong. You're important. You're beautiful. So if you want to learn more, you can go to chronicpleasurebook.com, chronicpleasurebook.com. Again, my name is Karen Laurie. Thank you.